Hello, my loves, and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing amazing. I want to welcome you to this monthly challenge, NESSEMBER, where I will be posting every day, Monday through Friday, for the whole of November. And at the beginning of each video, I would like to mention some of the comments that you guys write below my videos and answer some of your guys' questions. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about the free self-care habits that I personally swear by and how to make self-care more accessible. Because I love a good aesthetic, cozy video on TikTok with the skincare, the candles, the bubble baths, the cozy PJs. I love it. But I also know and I'm very aware that that is not what self-care actually looks like. Because self-care is not about it looking pretty. It's not about it being aesthetic. And it's definitely not about spending a shit ton of money on things that you don't actually need. And a lot of things that are today being marketed as self-care is just consumerism and overconsumption in disguise. And a lot of the times, if you follow these aesthetic self-care videos, it's not actually self-care, but self-harm. Because let's say you're somebody who's not really financially doing well. Do you think that spending $100 on a skincare routine is self-care? I don't think so. So today we're going to be talking about the science-backed self-care habits that are for free. And before we get on with the self-care habits, I want to talk a little bit about self-care, what it actually is. So self-care is not about being lazy, it's not about being selfish, and as I said, it's not about being aesthetic and doing pretty things. And also, self-care is not the reward for being productive, rather than its base. It is the foundation of how you can function. Because when you skip that essential self-care, taking care of your health, your mind, and your soul, that is when your brain goes into survival mode. And I don't like to bash on cortisol because there is a lot to go in on cortisol because it's not always bad. When you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna, of course, be more stressed. You're gonna get burnt out. And the excess amount of cortisol and any type of negative emotions, of course, does damage to you. And the science speaks for itself. There are plenty of studies on the habits that I'm going to be talking about and how lack of them can actually impair your decision making. It can make you depressed. It can make you anxious. There's just so much behind it. So stop thinking of self-care as luxury and something aesthetic and something that you're doing just to post on TikTok, and start thinking of it as your maintenance. So a lot of people say that they don't have enough time or money, and that is why they don't practice self-care. And we're gonna fix that today because, as I said, the habits that I'm gonna be talking about are for free, and now we just have to figure out how you're gonna get enough time for it. By the way, look at this cute mug. Could you believe that I actually made this mug? Look, cats on it. I'm obsessed with it. Anyway, we're going to be talking about how to actually make time for self-care because not having enough time is a shitty excuse to why not practice self-care. So I already made a video on time management that you can check out on the screen or down below. I will link it there. But I want to talk about a concept that I adore, and it is called a self-care menu. It's very simple. It's like you go to a restaurant and you have a menu of different self-care activities and habits and tasks that you can do to instantly make yourself feel better. And you can, of course, adjust this to your needs if you have more or less time, but I like to have daily habits. So these are habits that are gonna take me 5, maybe to 10, 15 minutes max. This is going to be your short walks. This is going to be your meditation. This is going to be your reading. This is going to be a quick cleanup because I don't know about you, but for me, that is self-care. I actually really like to clean. So things like that. It will be things like calling your loved ones. It will be just whatever you like to do. Then I like to categorize it into weekly ones, which are going to be like your 1 to 2 hours, or maybe even 3 if you have time. And this could be catching up with a friend. This can be doing some art. This can be knitting. This can be singing. This can be anything. And then monthly. So this is ideally going to be a whole day where you're going to plan a one day in the month for whatever it is that you want, whether it is a trip in your city, those that can be very budget friendly, whether it is crafting something at home, whether it is spending a day with your family, with your parents, with your loved ones, with your friends. Because the point here is not about perfection, it is about consistency. Because of course, if you do self-care once a year, you're still gonna be burned out. The point here is to make yourself feel good on a daily basis. And again, this doesn't have to be anything long. It doesn't have to be anything overwhelming. It could be just simple tasks that you love to do. And when you have this self-care menu and if you watched my time management video, you sit down on Sunday and you go ahead and plan your week. You take out the menu and you look at it and you think, okay, what would I like to do these days and what would I like to do at the end of the week? It is that simple. Again, it doesn't have to be anything lengthy. If you can only do a 15-minute self-care activity a day, that is still better than nothing. What I don't hear a lot of people talking about, we see everyone talking about the habits that you have to add and the things that you have to buy and the rules that you have to follow. But self-care is not only about addition, but it's also about subtraction. A lot of the times, self-care looks like withdrawing. It looks like taking away things. It looks like cleansing. It looks like taking away habits. And for me, it was perfectionism. So I would plan these self-care activities and I would plan the perfect morning routine, but I was really stuck on waking up at 5 a.m. And because I followed the people online who are waking up super early, saying that waking up at 5 a.m. is the best thing that ever happened to them. And don't get me wrong, I love waking up early and it's something that I strive for. But I no longer stress about it because although it looked like a self-care habit that, I made myself wake up super early, or I just told myself I have to wake up at 5 a.m. because that is when I'm going to do my self-care activities, that stressed me out so much. And I would be so stuck up on it, and when perhaps just things weren't going exactly the way I planned them to, and I knew that I was not going to be able to wake up the next day at 5 a.m. because I was doing some extra work, or I was out with my boyfriend, or just something, I would be so angry about it. And because oh my God, but if I don't wake up at 5 a.m., that means I cannot practice self-care. So if I did wake up at 5 a.m., I would be super exhausted, and that is just not good. Or I would sleep through my alarms, and then I would think, oh, so now the whole day is ruined because I cannot practice self-care. Sometimes it's not about adding more habits, but subtracting those that drain you, such as perfectionism. So what? So what that you don't wake up at 5 a.m.? Again, I still love to wake up early, and I try to wake up early, and I plan so that I can wake up early, but sometimes it's just not gonna happen. Sometimes things come up in the evening. Sometimes you're just tired because you have been physically exhausted, you have had a mental load, you went through something. So now, instead of focusing on getting up at 5 a.m. because that's what people online are doing and portraying it as self-care and discipline, I now focus on the actual quality of my sleep. So sometimes self-care looks like dropping the habits that you see online, even though they are technically self-care habits. So now let's look at the actual self-care habits that I recommend to you that you can do for free. And I don't think that the first two will actually surprise you, but the first thing that we're going to talk about is sleep. I believe that sleep is the ultimate self-care habit that you can possibly do, and it is going to be the foundation of your self-care. Because let's be honest, a lot of things can kind of have alternatives. You can have alternatives to different minerals and vitamins, and to different, skincare. If you don't do skincare, you can get your cosmetic procedures. If you don't, whatever. There's just a lot of alternatives to everything. But there is one thing that just does not have a second option, and that is sleep. And there is so much science behind the importance of sleep. There is even a good book, Why We Sleep. And many of us used to believe that sleep is when your body can rest and when your brain can take a break. But it is, in fact, the exact opposite. During sleep, there are so many important things happening in your brain and in your body that just cannot happen during the day. So during sleep, you have this system called the glymphatic system, which is like a lymphatic system, but for your brain. And this system activates when you're sleeping. So when you are sleeping, all the toxins, all the waste, all the byproducts of your daily thoughts gets flushed out. And this is why like poor quality sleep and lack of sleep has been linked to early Alzheimer's disease. Because when your brain does not get its toxins and waste and byproducts flushed out, it gets built up, and that is what's damaging your brain. So when you're like a student and your brain is fired up during the day from the studying, the sleep is where all the magic happens. Not to mention the impact your sleep has on your emotional regulation. Your sleep also regulates the HPA axis, which is a system that controls your cortisol. So that's why when you are sleeping enough and you're having good quality sleep, you feel more emotionally well. You're not as anxious, you're not as depressed, you're not as stressed. And there are many things that you're gonna find online on ways to improve your sleep. The Hatch machine clock, which it's cute. I'm probably gonna get it, I'm not gonna lie. But I've been doing just fine without it. Is it pretty? Yeah. Does it make nice sounds? Yeah. I'm maybe gonna get it, but it's not gonna magically transform your sleep. So you're gonna see a lot of people online telling you need this and that and this to get the best sleep. So what I love to do is, okay, I make tea, which costs something. I love good sleepy tea, but I love box breathing before I go to sleep. That is my ultimate wind down technique that just always ensures that I get the best sleep. So it's like that you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, then you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again for 4 seconds. And I do this for like 3 minutes, and then I'm just out. Now, the second habit that is also not gonna wow you is moving your body. And this goes hand in hand with the self-care menu that I talked about, where you can just, do a little stretch or a little walk every single day. I have a dog, so that is very easy for me. Of course, I walk him multiple times a day. So, that kind of ticks my box. And again, there are so many studies. I don't think I have to tell you how important exercise is. There is mental health benefits, there's physical benefits, there's longevity benefits. I don't think I have to go too deep on that. So what I did as a part of my self-care menu is I listed multiple workouts. So of course, not every time you want to work out in the gym. A lot of people hate working out in the gym, and I don't think working out in the gym is a necessity. But what I do love is exploring. So whether it is your city or taking a train and just walking, hiking somewhere near you, oh, chef's kiss. I also did like a bucket list with sports. So any sports that I wanted to try. I wanted to try badminton. I wanted to try paddle. I wanted to try swimming. I wanted to try running. I wanted to try biking. I wanted to try so many things. And a lot of these things you can do for free, and if not for free, maybe for like a small, fee or entrance fee or something. But you can, I don't know, I live in a city where we have like shared bikes. So you can just share, go to the city center and there are bikes everywhere. And you can go to the court, there are public swimming pools. There's just so many things, and it does not cost much, if anything. And this way I incorporated like doing something fun, so like some sort of self-care, but also with movement, because I understand that a lot of the times we don't want to work out, and a lot of the times it is boring, and like starting working out is just, dreadful. But if you turn it into something you can look forward to, and something that you can do at the end of the week with your friends, with your partner, with your parents, with anybody, it's just amazing. Or what also I used to do is with my dog, if I just didn't have anybody to hang out with, I would take my dog and I would go on like a little adventure, just me and my dog. The third free self-care habit is a digital detox. We're not talking about cute self-care here. We're not, because self-care is not always cute, and the majority of us need a digital detox. So what I would recommend is planning in a afternoon or a day without electronics. It is so important, and you're gonna feel so much better. So I have a series on my channel called Pretty Girls with Pretty Brains, where I talk about, how to keep your brain pretty and healthy. So I talked there a lot about the attention span and how short form content is damaging, and just the technology and everything. So I would recommend you watching that, because I went pretty in depth there. Whether it is your phone free mornings, phone free afternoons, or phone free weekends, unglue yourself from that phone and that computer and that iPad. What I used to do is I would be like, today I'm just gonna rot in bed and I'm gonna let myself scroll on TikTok, because that's exactly what I need to just have a little lazy cozy afternoon. I have never ever felt good after doom scrolling, ever. When have you ever felt good after doom scrolling? Nobody has ever felt good after doom scrolling, because biologically you can't, because you're just doing a dopamine slot machine for 3 hours, and then you expect to feel happy and cared for and relaxed. Oh, honey. Now, this habit may not be for everybody, but if you're like me, I love cleaning so much. I create like a ritual from it. So I will put on some incense. I will play some music or some podcast or my favorite TV show. And I don't know how to explain it, but the way cleaning releases stress is insane for me. It is insane. And the way I feel good, like an example, I have my drawers in the kitchen and I've been procrastinating on cleaning them for a while. Or not procrastinating, but I kept putting it off because it's not the most important thing on my to-do list. And the minute I cleaned it out, it was like rocks were lifted from my back. So light a candle, open all the windows, play some music, play some podcast. It is not only it's visually pleasing, but the psychology behind it, where you're just like decluttering, is very beneficial. Number 5, and this habit is hard, but it is detachment. You need to stop caring so much. You need to stop caring so much about what people online are doing. You need to stop caring about what people in your life think about you. You need to stop sweating the small things. And I already spoke about this. I spoke about perfectionism at the beginning of this video. But there's one thing being empathetic and being a good person. But the minute you start caring too much, that's where the problem occurs. We often attach our peace to external things, like people's opinion, our productivity, validation. But when you practice detachment, your amygdala, which is like a threat center in your brain, threat detector in your brain, finally calms down. So this really ties to the thing that I said at the beginning, that sometimes self-care is not about addition, but subtraction. Number 6, which is romanticizing the small moments. I know this sounds so cliche and I feel so cringe saying it, but again, it is not about, I'm just gonna romanticize my trauma and my financial problems. It's not about that. That is not self-care. But lighting your room, making it nice, making your bed nice, and sometimes taking just a break to cuddle with your dog, and to, open the window and look out and look at the people, and I wonder what this person is doing, and then playing some jazz in the morning. Listen, I live a very, very boring life. It sounds weird, but my days look exactly the same every single day. And if I don't romanticize the small moments, I would surely go insane. If you're a student, if you work from home, if you're every single day doing the same exact thing, you're gonna feel like crap. And so, in the morning when I walk my dog, maybe some days I'm gonna take just a little bit of a different route. I'm gonna put in headphones and just make my coffee or my tea to go. Or in the evening, just for 5 minutes, I'm just gonna, do some aromatherapy and play some jazz in the background. How many of you play jazz? It's so calming. I love jazz. And when I'm taking a shower, I will just dim the lights a little bit so it's not these, the harsh, bright lights. Or when I wake up in the morning, I really love, me and my partner, we do this. We wake up and we go on our balcony. Even if the weather is ugly and we just sit there, I drink my coffee and we just like look out just for a little bit and just think about the day that we're gonna have. And yeah, it's about the small moments, especially if you live a very repetitive life like me. Or like when I'm cooking, I will play, again, jazz.
You like jazz?
or or I will play like my favorite movie. A few days ago, I was like, oh, my day has kind of been eh. So I washed my hair, I put on my pajamas, and I was like, I'm gonna bake something. And I just baked it was like a chocolate cake, not like a chocolate cake, but like a chocolate bread type of, I don't know, it was delicious. And so I lit up a candle and I just took my iPad to the kitchen and I watched Devil Wears Prada. I just made the vibe cozy, and it was something so basic as just like preparing food for the next day because I wanted to take it to school with me. But instead of just like making it in a rush, I kind of like relaxed a little bit and just thought to myself, how can I make such a boring task more enjoyable? And the last thing is, don't forget about connection. What I absolutely love is, and I haven't done it in a really long time, but I used to do this a lot during COVID, is I would go to a animal shelter. And so that depends on you, whether, you want to visit a children's home or a senior home or anything, but this is not going to cost you anything. If you go to an animal shelter and ask them, listen, can I, socialize with your dogs? Can I play with them? Or even if you do have some money that you can spend and you take some dog food, some treats, something, or even ask the shelter, is there anything that you need that you can probably even donate? I used to donate a lot of towels, a lot of old clothes, a lot of, I don't know, blankets. A lot of the times these shelters really need it, and I don't think anything fulfilled me as much as this. No amount of skincare, no amount of cute candles, no amount of anything fulfilled me as actually doing something good and connecting with somebody who needs it. And no amount of pretty things can beat something as beautiful as helping and connecting with people and animals. Anyways, guys, this is all for today. I really hope that you enjoyed the first video of NESSEMBER. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below some questions that you have for me for the next video. And also check out my social media links. And yeah, I love you guys so much. And perhaps you can share this with anybody or anywhere, so that we can grow this channel a little bit. And yeah, that's it. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.